Open Line Friday, the Rush Limbaugh program, meeting and surpassing all audience expectations every day, with the audience growing at leaps and bounds. Telephone number 800-282-2882. Kimberly Strassel has a wonderful piece today in the Wall Street Journal. Who is Christopher Steele? And it is quite the expose on this guy, and it comes at all of this from, which is very hard to do now, a unique perspective, a unique angle. There are how many thousands of people commenting on Christopher Steele and the dossier and the FISA court and all that. You realize how difficult it is to come up with a unique angle. At least it's unique to me. I've not seen anybody else make the point she makes here. If others have and I've missed it, I apologize. But her piece today is entitled, Who is this guy? Who is Christopher Steele? And why is everybody believing the guy? A man who revealed a vast international conspiracy, but didn't know his own client. To the extent that the U.S. press has focused on Christopher Steele, it's been to portray him in heroic, epic style. A Washington Post profile told how this guy, a former MI6 agent who left MI6 in 2009 to start his own company, felt professional obligations to take his dossier to the FBI. That's how worried and rattled and alarmed he was about the Trump-Kremlin plot. The FBI welcomed this well-trusted source, who had provided information in the past as a peer, because he used to be an intelligence guy himself up till 2009. But Steele made it all up. Steele was contracted to do this. Steele went to the FBI as though he had brilliantly and as a singular mastermind learned all of these things about Trump and Russia and Carter Page. And the FBI was supposedly dazzled by it. The FBI did not know that he had been paid by Fusion GPS. The FBI did not know that he had been contracted or commissioned to do this. But Kimberly Strassel says they should have. The FBI should have known all of this. Even if this guy, Christopher Steele, had been helpful in the past, the FBI had every reason to be suspicious in 2016, because this was not like prior peer-to-peer collaborations. He was coming to the FBI as a paid political operative. They didn't know that. Ostensibly, they didn't know that. He produces his work of art, the dossier, and he's very troubled by it. He's very, very rattled. He's very alarmed at what he's learned, and he makes tracks to the FBI. The FBI does not know that he has been paid to do this. He arrived at the FBI with his dossier as a paid political operative hired by Glenn Simpson, Fusion GPS, which was a subcontractor for the Hillary Clinton campaign. So this is just confirmation that Hillary had paid Fusion GPS to get the dossier written, and Steele had been chosen to do it. And yet Steele presents himself to the FBI as though he's been out there as an independent contractor, very alarmed and very concerned and very troubled by Donald Trump. And he has amassed all of this information the FBI definitely needs to know, and he takes it to them, and the FBI happily accepts it. The FBI had reason to view his research with skepticism just on the basis of the allegations. The Golden Shower story. And that's the one that's discussed the most. But there are many other salacious and perverted claims about Trump and associates and their behavior in this dossier. And the FBI, according to Kim Strassel, should have looked at this and should have immediately been suspicious of it. Because of this reason alone. Here's a guy, Christopher Steele, who had been out of the spy business for 7 years. He quit MI6 in 2009. So he's out of the loop. He's not in the spy business for 7 years, and yet, in a matter of weeks, and with just a few phone calls to Russians while he's in London, where he lives, he is able to unravel an international conspiracy of Trump colluding with Putin to steal the election from Hillary that neither the CIA had learned about, that the FBI didn't know anything about, that MI6 didn't know anything about, nor did any other Western intelligence agency. And they all have access to the world's most sophisticated surveillance tools. So you're the FBI, you're James Comey. You're in daily contact with people at the CIA and the DIA, you're in daily contact with international intelligence agencies. And never has anybody said a damn thing about Trump colluding with Russia or anybody else. And one day this guy, Christopher Steele, shows up. And he's got this dossier. He's got all this stuff in it. And you don't know a thing about it. And the CIA didn't know a thing about it. And the DIA didn't know a thing. And the MI6 people in London didn't know. Nobody knew about it because none of it was true. And yet the FBI looked at this and they accepted it. And they ran with it. End up using it to get a FISA warrant, and then that warrant renewed to spy on Carter Page and whoever else. And this is the unique thing that I had not considered that Kimberly Strassel has stumbled into. Here is this guy who we now know was doing what he was doing because he was paid to do it by a subcontractor for Hillary Clinton. $10 million is the figure thrown around. And this guy, out of the spy game for 7 years, is able, with a few phone calls from London, to learn things about Trump and Russia that no other spy agency in the world knows a shred of anything about. That alone should have told Comey and Brennan and Clapper to be highly suspicious. Instead, they were not suspicious. They embraced it and they ran with it. Rather than proceed with caution, the FBI swallowed this whole thing eagerly. And according to the recently declassified criminal referral from Chuck Grassley, which we detailed yesterday, James Comey testified the FBI could not meaningfully corroborate Steele's work, but nevertheless used it in foreign intelligence surveillance court proceedings because Comey said, well, this guy had given us good stuff before, even though there was no evidence anywhere for this stuff. There was no evidence. No other spy agency had an inkling of any of this. And this guy, out of the game for 7 years, is able to dredge up all this with phone calls from his home in London to a bunch of Russians. And so the magic happened. The FBI accepts this, and a political document, a political opposition research document, is automatically converted into legitimate intelligence. Christopher Steele and Fusion GPS Glenn Simpson proceeded to use the FBI to advance Hillary Clinton's interests. And then they went to the press. And this is what got the dossier ultimately in the public domain. Christopher Steele, who was asked by the FBI not to talk about it, did anyway. And this is where the Grassley memo resurfaces again, demanding an investigation of Steele because he lied to the FBI. And anybody else that lies to the FBI gets prosecuted and usually convicted, and they go to jail. So Grassley's demanding the same equal treatment for this Michael or Christopher Steele guy. So Steele and Glenn Simpson, Fusion GPS, they go to the media with a series of briefings about the FBI investigation into the Trump campaign. And the media didn't care where it came from. The media didn't care about its provenance. Media didn't care right or wrong. Media wanted the narrative Trump colluded with Russia. This gave them the narrative. Then, thanks to the FBI, Christopher Steele did not have to present the media with all this crazy-sounding opposition research about sexual perversion. The FBI did that for them. Steele got to point to a full-on government investigation. Steele did not have to go to the media with his dossier and say, look what I found. He took it to the FBI. The FBI accepted it. The FBI accepting Steele's memo, his dossier, gives it instant credibility. The media does not question why the FBI accepted this, why the FBI is using this, why the FBI believes this. Every day we learn more about this, we learn that it's an even bigger scam than we thought. And to believe parts of this version, we've really got to believe in a dumb and stupid, incurious FBI. If we are to believe the FBI is not part of this effort to destroy Trump. If you want to give the FBI leadership, Comey et al., the benefit of the doubt, then the only thing we can say is that they were dumb. They accepted this guy's work because, well, he'd done good stuff in the past. Even though he presents them stuff no agency in the world had even gotten any inkling of. They accepted, and their acceptance of it then gave Steele and Simpson credibility to talk to the media about its contents. And then the next phase was Comey presenting it to Trump, and that gives another media opportunity. Well, they showed it to Trump, but we are duly bound to report what this is. It is a giant scam. The only question is how involved was Comey and others, Strzok, Lisa Page. Their texts do not look good for the FBI. It makes it look like everybody was in on this and knew it was bogus, but wanted to use the weight and the power, the reputation of the FBI to legitimate all of this, or legitimize it, which is exactly what happened. So the resulting stories of all this were dynamite for the Clinton campaign, but not much for the FBI. The FBI has been under assault here from several quarters. And Ms. Strassel writes that there's no excusing these actions. The FBI had expressly told Steele not to speak to anybody outside the Bureau about his dossier, and Steele failed to disclose these briefings, maybe even lied about them, since the FBI assured the FISA court that he was not talking to the press when he was. Folks, it's so dirty.